Yes, hello.
Hello, I'm with Geoffrey Bayldon, and we're sat watching episode 3 of The Creature from the Pit, a Saturday evening experience, Geoffrey.
Yes,
Sat huddled down your settee,
yes.
ready to watch. Are you still surprised that Doctor Who fans ask you about this after all these years?
Not in the least. It was always a mystery, and it disappeared for a long time, and then came back and had rather a good return. I can't see it at the moment. It's in the dark. There's a few visions flittering through the darkness.
And here you are, Geoffrey, here in the picture here. Here's
Yes.
Tom Baker and yourself, and you're holding a skull. And you're dressed as a very elderly man. You're always associated with playing older parts.
I always was. I played elder parts when I was 20. So I've played them ever since. I'm now 85, as I am now, not as I was then, and not seeing very well.
Just to give you a heads up then, Geoffrey,
Yes,
on what we're watching.
Yes.
There is a very large green Doctor Who monster
Yes, I know it.
called the Arato in this picture. Can you remember anything about the giant Doctor Who monster?
I can remember the greatest detail about it. It was a great shock because it, well, basically shouldn't have been there. I know I had to face the wall, and it was to come in and be seen by me for the first time and the person I was with. Well, it did, and I heard a noise and I turned round and I didn't believe my eyes, because what I was seeing was not exactly a monster, but an enlarged monster, of not very repeatable before an audience, of children particularly, audience. It was a large piece of, how can I describe it? Its shape was very recognizable. I knew that before I started, but I went on the long trip round it and realized it really shouldn't be seen by me or anybody else. It really should be altered before the public saw it. And to cut a long story short, it had to be. And it took months because it looked very like a human piece of human genitalia.
And Geoffrey, what was the crew's reaction then when the Arato that looked like this piece of human genitalia lumbered out through the dark passages?
Well, I can only say the silence for a moment was total. It just went dead. And I thought, I've committed suicide. Everybody's committed suicide.
Mm.
And what they really were saying was, we can't have it. We've got to be prepared for Doctor Who's funeral, or what it looked as though it was going to be when it sort of smothered him. I won't go into the details of how it was done, but we knew it couldn't be done the original way. It was done partly the original way eventually, and John did it, of course, brilliantly.
We can see on the screen here the Doctor's assistant, played by the actress Lala Ward.
Yes.
Do you have any memories of her?
Memories, happiness, and bewilderment shared with me. That's all I can say.
And also in this picture here is Mariah Francis playing the chief baddie and the chief hench lady, Eileen Way.
Eileen Way, she was with my agent. I adored her.
Yes.
A lovely, lovely lady, and a very clever one to boot. Eileen and I were friends. Yes. Lovely.
Is it quite nice then, from an actor's point of view, Geoffrey, that when you go and into a production and you see somebody like Eileen who you knew, does that make the production more joyous because you're surrounded?
Of course it does. Friendship, the world over, is for everybody. Oh yes. And playing with him was great. We knew each other from before well and truly, and there was a big grin in the air.
Are you talking about Tom Baker there, Geoffrey?
Tom Baker, yes. I said John before, but I should have said Tom.
Because I saw Tom Baker very recently at a Doctor Who Appreciation Society event, and I talked to him about you, and he remembers you with great fondness.
Yes, he would. Me of him.
Yes.
The same. Yes.
Now, while we're talking about doctors, Tom and John, of course, Geoffrey, I think it would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that you were considered at one point to be the very first Doctor Who.
That is absolutely true. It sounds more important than it was, because I never really long considered it, rightly or wrongly. But I told my agent, I said, I'm playing far too many old men on television. I must stop, because it's wrong. If any come up and I'm out of work, don't tell me. I said, I just don't want to know. I don't want to be tempted. And the phone rang, and she said to me, Geoffrey, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but how would you like to work for 52 weeks? And I said, what? Not hearing my ears correctly. She said, 52 weeks. I said, oh my God. I said, don't ask me for 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes to think it over, and I'll give you back. I rang her back in 10 minutes and said, tell them that it's too long to be so old. So she did, and that was my end of story with Doctor Who. I never knew what it was. She just said, I don't know, it's Doctor Who, with a question mark at the end, and it's some sort of science fiction. Professor or something. Doctor.
Given the success of Doctor Who, is that something that you wished you had have done? I know you were very successful in other series.
When I heard it was being successful, of course I felt worried. And I thought, but I'm not missing it because it didn't thrill me as an idea. And in the meantime, I had reason to believe that something was happening in my direction. And the thing happening in my direction was Catweazle, which was right up my street. And so I probably would not have got Catweazle and done a rotten Doctor Who. I never know.
You never know. No. When you're thinking about fan mail and fan interest and people's interest in your career, do you find that people are generally more interested in Catweazle than they are about Doctor Who, or is it 50-50?
They were more interested in the fact that I was Catweazle, of course. That was my success. But they were fascinated to know later that I was originally the original thought, rightly or wrongly, of Doctor Who. Yeah.
Because you've had, in your career, you've done lots and lots of work, and we're just going to focus in on the work that's known to us through television, like Catweazle, like Worzel Gummidge and Doctor Who. But you've got lots of celebrity supporters of Catweazle, people like Jonathan Ross.
Yes, indeed. In fact, there's a lot of stories connected with Jonathan Ross, but the great one was the one who, the night that the DVDs were going to come out of Catweazle, about 2 years ago, on his Friday night show, he said, By the way, you've probably heard that on Monday next, the DVDs are going to be buyable by you. He said you're probably not buying them because you've been told that they're going to go out on BBC television. I promise you they are not. They have been banned by the by the BBC because they're not correct politically, and the second scene has condemned them for all times. They're never coming on television again. So don't think you're going to get them on DVD. I can tell you that I've been privileged to have them and have shown them to my children, and they are potty about them. And Catweazle is absolutely in with the big ones. And he said, so I've got one piece of advice to you. On Monday, go out and buy them yourselves, which was a great help to us. God bless him.
And your other televisual success from Doctor Who fans' point of view, which is interesting, is working on Worzel Gummidge with John Pertwee. I mean, you've brushed with lots of doctors and has Doctor Who stories. Was John Pertwee a friend of yours, Geoffrey? A
great friend, yes, he was. He wanted me to be it when we weren't sure what the Crowman was going to be. It had just made its name in the script, and we knew it was a man of mystery, and the main reader was there because there had to be someone to talk to Worzel Gummidge, and because none of the scarecrows could speak. So I had to have some relationship with the children, and we plonked that in right at the very beginning with one look, and started from there. From then on, it never stopped. And those two marvellous writers just filled me with lovely, glorious lines to say one after the other. Oh yes, bliss. And being with the blissful Aunt Sally, whom I'm a great friend of.
Just going, you've just appeared on the screen here again, Geoffrey, in long hair and long beard, yes. Again playing older people, yeah. Even though you were a much younger man at the time. Was the approach from the Doctor Who production office then, did they contact you with the script and ask you if you wanted to do it?
The director did. John had said he thought that's the person he would like. He said, but he won't, because he's done Catweazle. He won't want to be the second character, or third, or whatever. And
the director of this one was Chris Barry. Do you have any memories of him then? Was Christopher Barry?
Yes, I do. It's not as strong as it should be. No, it's not.
Did you film this, Geoffrey, at Television Centre at the BBC?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes.
And I mean, the sets here are quite dark. It's quite a dark, atmospheric sure. Piece. Yeah. Did you have to film this in a small studio?
I have a feeling I did. No, the memory's not strong about that.
No, not at all.
No.
Okay. When this episode went out, do you remember? Did you watch it? As an actor, do you like watching yourself on television?
I always watch myself. I watch everything I do because you've no other check, and I'm critical, very critical. I can get a shock, good or bad, but you learn. You just learn things about what you do. You sometimes don't know you do. And things like that. Oh no, I think it's very important. People say, I never see myself, look at myself. Well, I think, well, how do you criticise? It's essential, yes.
And then do you like film and television for that reason, to be able to go back and critique yourself? Or do you prefer stage work, which is a little bit more kind of done and in that evening and you're ready to move on?
No, television has its own standby help. And you use the helps. You can't go out front and watch yourself in the theatre. You've just got to use your imagination, wit and expertise, which you've had from the beginning, you know.
And something like Doctor Who and the Creature from the Pit, then it obviously will follow you around, and as an actor, people remember you for that. But it's not just that you've done. I mean, you've done thousands of film and television performances. One I think that would be of interest to the Doctor Who fans is The House That Dripped Blood, again with John Pertwee. Do you have any memories of that?
Yes, I do. And one rather gorgeous one. And my chum and I knew it was coming out and was coming to the Odeon in Hammersmith to a matinee, and it was full of children. And when we were planning it, the main thing was that Doctor Who was meeting Catweazle. That was the gimmick behind the piece, but it was never mentioned. And we said it mustn't be anything like Catweazle. So we'll make the make up everything fit somebody else. Most obvious person was the name's gone. I can't believe it. I can't believe his name is marvellous. A shaven actor of great wit and fun. Ernest Thesiger. And we said we'll give him long sideboards to make him look more like Ernest Thesiger, with a big long nose looking down at you. So when he comes in, you don't think Catweazle. He came into the thing, banged his cane on the counter, and I appeared from the top of the spiral staircase, and there I just with a cat in my arms, a white cat, and said, "Yes." And the whole audience shouted out, "Catweazle!" So we'd lost before we began.
Because lots of those anthology films and horror films you're quite well remembered for. Why did you... was that a niche or a type of film or genre that you like to get involved in?
Oh, I found myself in it with Dracula at the beginning. I was just called one day and arrived, and there the two leading ones for Evermore were working that morning, and we had lunch together and reminisced and had a marvellous lunch. It was freezing cold, and I thought, oh, this is bliss and it's fun. And so I've never looked at it as strange. I just look on it as good as the parties, and sometimes it's not good, sometimes it's silly, but no matter what. Oh, I enjoy them. Yeah, of course I do. Yes.
I think Doctor Who fans would probably be wanted to know the answer to this question, Geoffrey. Do you still watch the new Doctor Who's that they make now?
I don't watch anything constantly now because I can't see as well. I'm having trouble with both sight and sound, and so I watch less. And I'm sorry that it is so. It is.
And if the call ever came from the Doctor Who production office to try your hand at another Doctor Who, I think the Doctor Who fans across the world and in this country would be very keen to see you in one.
Having a bash again.
Yes. Would you for our sakes would you?
I'd be strongly wanting to.
Because it reminds me of the new tricks that you did a couple of years back with June Whitfield who's just about to appear in the Doctor Who Christmas special.
Yes.
Would you like to follow her shoes and follow her footsteps into Doctor Who?
I'd follow that lady anywhere. I admire her, love her immensely. She's amazing. In my opinion, she should be a dame, and plus. Yes.
Just as this episode's coming to a close here, just looking at the screen again, there's Mariah Francis, yourself, and Tom Baker. It just, knowing both the characters of those other lead actors and knowing you as well, was it possible to keep a straight face during the recording of this, Geoffrey? Or were you very conscious, if you hammed it up almost, it would somehow take away something from the show?
If I had a tap.
If you had an opportunity to, with those two strong people with you who were well known for laughing and joking and corpsing, did you know that when it was time to do the recording that it had to be played just so and just seriously without fear of hamming it up?
A bit of both. A bit of both. Mainly keep it serious. But if it bursts, it bursts. Hallelujah. Do it again. And that's another thing I like about television. It can be done again.
Was Tom Baker a very accommodating lead actor for the people that came in?
At least he was for me. We're both hams, and we enjoy hamming.
And the kind of the aftermath of Creature from the Pit is that it was released onto video just very recently, and I'm sure will come out onto DVD. Have you ever seen these episodes since they went out? Is that something you would be?
I've seen them since they went out. I've not seen them for quite a long time. I've got it somewhere, but I remember seeing it with enjoyment. Yeah.
And given your long and fabulous and diverse career, Geoffrey,
Stop. No, say it all again.
Given your diverse and wonderful and long career that you've had, what association would you like to be associated with most? You don't need to say Doctor Who just because I'm sat here, but what would you like to be remembered most for?
The clandestine marriage at the Ovic School, which I've done 3 times since, and Catweazle, of course, yes. And Shakespeare generally, but that's another story. Shakespeare was not the success that I thought it was for the 6 years I was with it. I was still a student in the eyes of the management, and I had to get rid of that and grow up and say goodbye.
And hopefully we'll see you in the spring in a new drama for BBC One with Keith Michelle. So you are still working, Geoffrey?
Yes, I am. Yes. I'm hoping to see Keith soon. He's a great chum.
And what are you playing now? Now you are an older gentleman and an older actor. Are you playing a younger man in that now?
No, I'm afraid not. I'm just another old character, boring old actor.
Well, as the credits for Doctor Who and the Creature from the Pit episode 3 are rolling, and we've just seen your name there, Geoffrey, I'd like to say thank you very much for all the work that you did for Doctor Who, and thank you very much for doing this today.
Thank you.